The next thing I'm going to do in this POC environment is actually to install an additional analysis services instance that includes the multidimensional mode analysis services. The reason I'm going to do this is because in my proof of concept solution I might want to use multidimensional or at least test it. And if I don't install it, then I can't do that. And in addition to doing that, while I'm installing this, I'm also going to load SQL Server Data Tools, so I have at least some kind of a development environment in here. And I'm going to install integration services in case I want to test any of those things. I may not leave those services running in the environment in order to save memory. However, I like to have them available. So this entire lesson is 100% optional. If your only intent is to run Power Pivot-based solutions and Power View solutions that access Power Pivot, you can skip this completely. But if you want to have a little more complete environment, these things you want to add as well. Again, we're going to perform a new installation of SQL Server 2012 because I don't want to mix other things into this Power Pivot instance. So again, I'll choose Evaluation, Next on License Terms, Feature Installation again. For the instance feature selection, I want to install an Analysis Services instance. And then while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and install integration services as well. Other features I might want to install would be Data Quality Client, Master Data Services, and Data Quality Services, and of course any of the others. For this lesson, we're just going to focus on the Analysis Services, Integration Services components to sort of round out the reporting and analytics part of the product in this demo environment. So once I've selected those, I click Next. And I do need to specify my instance name here. And I'm going to use MD for multidimensional. That'll get attached to the Analysis Services instance, so I have kind of a separation between the Power Pivot instance and the multidimensional instance. Then I'll click Next. And next on disk space. And since this is really an environment that's intended to be used on a single server, I'm going to go ahead and just use these default service accounts. I won't bother using my domain service account for these, but either way would work fine. If you'd like to change them, you can. So I can choose here multidimensional or tabular. I'm going to go with multidimensional, add myself as an instance administrator. And just walk through the rest of the next buttons. So we'll let that install, and when that's finished, we'll have a multidimensional analysis services. We'll already have the SQL relational. We'll have a Power Pivot instance. One extra thing we might want to add as yet another instance would be a tabular mode analysis services, but this VM's already getting pretty stacked, so I think we're gonna be fine with this. We'll use Power Pivot for our tabular demonstrations, and then we have this multidimensional instance in case we want to load any of that type of cube. And the wizard is complete. I can see both of those services have been installed correctly. And I can close that and just exit out of these wizards. If I look at my Start menu and run Management Studio, now I can connect to the multidimensional analysis services instance and just make sure that that's running. And it is.